Off-road driving in the far north is about as far off-road as you'll ever get. But believe it or not, this impossibly difficult route is actually a marked road on the map.
Only just.
There we go.
Oh, yes. We made it. Oh, this is serious.
Without a doubt, it was the worst surface we'd ever driven in our exploration of the unknown parts of Australia's north. The road takes the adventurous through a section of Litchfield, an area that's just been reserved as the far north's newest national park. Even park ranger Stuart Worrell finds the going rough, but that's exactly the way they want it.
It's for the people who want to go out there and have an experience four-wheel driving. You have a situation where people go out, do $600 worth of damage to their vehicles and come home and say they had a great time.
We're going to make it back?
Yeah, I reckon.
Any damage?
No, I just thought we might have clipped the diff there on one of those rocks, but it's all right. Well, anyway, we're here.
At the end of the road is an area known as the Lost City, a small sandy flat dotted with strange pinnacles of rock.
That one's absolutely spectacular, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's the different types of formations that you get here. They call this bloke the Sentinel, for obvious reasons.
Standing guard over the whole city.
Yeah, that's right.
Some look like the ruins of old buildings, while others are reminiscent of ancient monuments like Stonehenge. But nothing here was built. Everything is the work of nature.
Yeah, they form in a more pillar formation. And you get them close together, the cracks appear, weather out, and become into these little gorges that you see here.
Right.
As you can feel, it's quite cool inside. It's
beautiful, isn't it?
shaded, yeah. Good compared to the outside.
The so-called road on the way in will ensure the lost city stays lost for most people, and the centrepiece of Litchfield is almost as inaccessible. It's an area considered too precious and environmentally sensitive to allow access by even a few adventurous four-wheel drivers. The only way in is on foot. Tolmer Falls is one of the most spectacular in Australia, and rare for the north in that it never stops flowing. The reason is a freak of geology. Litchfield takes in the tabletop range where the water seeps up through the massive sandstone to emerge at the top as a series of springs. Water virtually flows uphill to tumble back down again through creeks and waterfalls. At the base of Tolmer is a magnificent pool set in a natural amphitheatre of red rock and tropical greenery. It's a rare patch of rainforest with some plants that are found nowhere else. For some unknown reason, they survived when the rest of their species disappeared with the giant reptiles at the end of the age of dinosaurs. Many of the plants in this exotic spot have not even been classified by science. In the heat that you find all year round across the top of Australia, the waterholes look tempting. But in most places, only a fool would cool off at the risk of being attacked by a crocodile.
Litchfield, though, is very different. It's one of the few places you can come up here without fear of a croc. That's due partly to good luck, partly to good management. There have been some crocs spotted around the boundaries of the park, but the Conservation Commission rangers are determined to keep them out.
Florence is another of the falls in Litchfield that keep running all year round. What we see here is close to the peak flow, just at the end of the wet season. Like the other falls in the region, the never-ending water, spray and the heat have generated the perfect spots for pockets of tropical rainforest. One of the curiosities of Litchfield is an area known as the graveyard. Colonies of magnetic termite mounds, so named because, like a magnetic compass, they're always aligned in a north-south direction. The reason for the north-south line, however, has more to do with the sun than magnetism.
The the temperature inside is between 30 to 35 degrees, and you've got over 90% humidity. The shape in the morning, when the sun comes up, it strikes this broad surface, warming the inside of the mound, and as it rises up, in the hottest part of the day, you've got just the knife edge, the very thin section exposed to the temperature.
So there's not a lot of sun getting on.
That's right, in the hottest part of the day. And then once again, in the afternoon when the sun goes down, it shines once again on this broad section, which warms the termite mound up to get them through the night when it cools down.
Litchfield is a compact park when compared with places like Kakadu, but up to now it's had far fewer visitors and less in the way of development. When we visited, we found what was still one of Australia's empty and rugged places.
If you climbed up to a height like this, virtually anywhere else in the world, you could expect to see some sign of civilization, a road or a house or a power line. Not in Litchfield. Out here, as far as the eye can see, trees, rocks, maybe a little water, and a horizon that's uninterrupted.
With one notable exception, the roads in are in the process of being upgraded, and that will make Litchfield Park easily accessible to anyone who cares to make the day trip from Darwin. So far, the park is still off the beaten track for most people, though the Northern Territory government believes it has the capacity to rival Kakadu as a destination for visitors. I found it surprising when I was told that Litchfield never had a large Aboriginal population. The food supply was too poor, and the clans gravitated more to rich areas like Kakadu, where up to 40,000 years of history are represented on the rock walls. Tom Winter is a long-term Territorian who, as a guide of wilderness safaris, has made a specialty of Aboriginal culture and has a wealth of knowledge about the art sites at Ubirri Rock.
What we've got along here is a food source gallery. This explains the food that was eaten by the Bundies clan that lives in this area. It's the Kakadu Bundies. It's actually a little library book for the Aborigines and a reference book. Because when a young fella goes on his first hunt, and he's not familiar with everything he can see in the bush, he doesn't kill it and come home and say, "Hey, Dad, look what I got," because he may have killed a sacred animal. So what he does is he remembers in his photographic memory, comes back here, looks along the wall, and if it's not up there, then he can't eat it.
Among the food animals is a fairly recent picture of a white man. It's Paddy Carl, who spent many years in jail because he defied a ban on crossing into Arnhem Land to visit his black wife and his children. His marriage was not recognised under the race laws that prevailed in the 1920s. The artist painted him with his hands in his pockets, the boss man giving orders. Among the rarities at Ubirri Rock are paintings with touches of blue among the earth colours.
There's quite an interesting little story about this, is that when the archaeologists first spotted a blue painting, they thought there was a blue deposit of ochre somewhere. And they spent years and years and years looking for this blue ochre. And when Barramundi Charlie was painting and retouching up a gallery before he died over in the Landsey, one of the experts was there and he pulled out of his pocket a little square box of Reckitt's blue and ground it up, and that's where it was in his pocket all the time. And they always thought there was an ochre deposit up here of blue, and they nearly drove him crazy looking for it.
And nearby, another example of how the tribal clans use their art to communicate with each other.
This is what they call the Whitefella Gallery.
Yeah, well, this is a gallery depicting the European, painted in plain red, signifies death, and all the weapons you can use to kill with. And on here you've got a harpoon. You've got a gun here which has got a hammerlock on it, which is an old gun. And if you look at the bottom here, you've got a very faded out musket.
Right.
And over here you've got one with a push rod, which is the ball and shot. Right? And this told any Aboriginal to come into this area prior to having contact with Europeans that these weapons will kill, and the white fella is dangerous.
So it worked as a warning to them?
Yeah, total warning gallery, yeah.
Specifically, where would they have got these influences from?
Well, most of them, we believe, come from the Dutch sailors that got blown off course here in the 1400s and the 1600s, plus the Macassans have been coming here from Indonesian Isles, the celebrities, for over 600 years. They all carried weapons, right? And none of them would trade weapons with the Aboriginals because they knew if they got the weapons, they'd shoot them back at them. So it wasn't until actual European colonisation that the Aboriginals got these type of weapons in their hands.